Brad Keselowski has been hospitalized after suffering a serious injury. The 2012 Cup Series champion recently required emergency surgery following a frightening accident that resulted in a broken leg. With the 2026 NASCAR season fast approaching, fans and insiders alike are asking the same question. Will Brad be ready to compete? Or could this injury mark a turning point in the career of one of NASCAR's toughest competitors? Let's start by breaking down what happened. A few days ago, Brad was skiing when things took an unfortunate turn. He fell, fractured his leg, and was taken to the hospital. True to form, Brad didn't disappear from the public eye. Instead, he shared photos from his hospital room that showed just how serious the situation was. Surgery was required to fix the injury, and he later reached out to fans with a message that perfectly captured his personality. Brad wrote that life sometimes forces you to slow down. He expressed gratitude for his family, his medical team, and the small progress he was already making, while keeping his focus on Daytona. He even joked that he was now bionic. That sense of humor is vintage Brad Keselowski. Even in a difficult moment, he's finding positivity and staying mentally strong. RFK Racing, the team Brad co-owns alongside Jack Roush, also released a statement to reassure fans and partners. According to the team, the surgery went smoothly, and doctors expect him to make a full and speedy recovery. With the Daytona 500 still about 2 months away, there is a reasonable window for rehab and recovery. However, the situation becomes more complicated when you look at the full schedule. While Daytona is still weeks away, the clash at Bowman Gray Stadium takes place earlier, shrinking the timeline if Brad hopes to compete in every event. That puts added pressure on him to heal quickly, regain fitness, and be race-ready right from the start of the season. Before jumping to worst-case scenarios, it's worth remembering that Brad has dealt with injuries before. During his championship season in 2012, he raced with a broken ankle and still managed to win at Pocono. He's proven time and again that he can push through pain and perform at the highest level. That said, age matters. Recovering from a broken bone in your late 20s is very different from doing so in your early 40s. As drivers get older, healing slows down and recovery becomes more demanding. While Brad's history shows he's capable of overcoming adversity, his age could influence how quickly he returns to full strength. This injury also highlights a growing concern in NASCAR: skiing accidents. Brad is now the second Cup Series driver in recent years to break a leg while skiing. Fans will remember Chase Elliott's skiing accident before the 2023 season, which sidelined him for multiple races and disrupted Hendrick Motorsports' plans. The key difference here is timing. Brad's injury happened early in the offseason, rather than right before the season began. Brad is likely an experienced skier, not someone recklessly trying the sport for the first time. Still, skiing is unpredictable. Even skilled athletes can get hurt despite doing everything right. For race car drivers, who depend heavily on peak physical condition, it's a risk that doesn't always pay off. The encouraging news is that Brad's medical team is optimistic. Advances in modern medicine have significantly improved how broken bones are treated. The fact that Brad is already up and taking steps suggests the surgery was successful and that the recovery process is off to a strong start. From an organizational standpoint, this situation also affects RFK Racing. Brad isn't just a driver, he's a co-owner with leadership responsibilities. If he's unable to race early in the season, the team will need a contingency plan, including a substitute driver who can keep the program competitive. After making solid progress in 2025, RFK will want to maintain that momentum heading into 2026, and any absence from Brad would be a challenge. Shifting focus for a moment, this conversation about injuries and age brings up another NASCAR veteran, Jimmie Johnson. The 7-time Cup Series champion is set to compete in the Daytona 500 for the 4th straight year and has a real opportunity to make history. At 50 years old, Jimmie is still competing at NASCAR's highest level. He's already a 2-time Daytona 500 winner and finished an impressive 3rd in last year's race, despite driving part-time in equipment that wasn't considered elite. There's a historical angle here as well. Bobby Allison currently holds the record as the oldest Daytona 500 winner, having won in 1988 at just over 50 years old. When the 2026 Daytona 500 takes place, Jimmie Johnson will be slightly older than Allison was. If Jimmie can improve on last year's 3rd-place finish and win the race, he would become the oldest Daytona 500 champion in history, an extraordinary achievement. That scenario isn't far-fetched. Legacy Motor Club showed noticeable improvement last season, with all 3 of its Toyotas finishing inside the top 12 at Daytona. The organization is trending upward, and Jimmie's experience gives him a legitimate chance if the pieces fall into place. Jimmie will drive a Carvana-sponsored car as an open entry, meaning he'll need to qualify for the race. There are 4 open spots available, and only 2 confirmed open cars at the moment. Jimmy's and Justin Allgaier's entry from Junior Motorsports. As things stand, that puts Jimmy in a strong position. On top of that, NASCAR's open exemption provisional exists for elite drivers, and with Jimmy's resume, he clearly qualifies. All signs point to Jimmy Johnson being in the Daytona 500, regardless of qualifying results, and once he's on track, he'll be racing for the win. Finally, let's zoom out and look at NASCAR's place in the broader motorsports landscape. Autosport recently released its rankings of the top 50 drivers acros. The rankings evaluated drivers across all racing series for the 2025 season, and unsurprisingly, the list leaned heavily toward Formula One. That bias reflects Autosport's European roots, where F1 naturally receives the most attention and carries the greatest global influence. Formula One drivers benefit from worldwide exposure, cutting-edge technology, and a perception of competing at the absolute peak of motorsports, all of which tend to elevate their standing in cross-discipline comparisons. At the top of the list was Max Verstappen, whose dominance continued to set the standard in Formula One. He was followed by George Russell, while reigning F1 champion Lando Norris landed at 6th, a placement that raised eyebrows and fueled debate among fans and analysts. On the NASCAR side, Denny Hamlin emerged as the highest-ranked driver at number 10. Hamlin led the Cup Series in victories and was in prime position to capture the championship before late race circumstances altered the outcome. Defending Cup champion Kyle Larson checked in at 15th, while regular season champion William Byron was ranked 20th. Shane Van Gisbergen, who impressed with 5 wins during his rookie Cup Series campaign, placed 31st, and rising Xfinity Series star Connor Zilisch completed the list at number 50. The broader takeaway from these rankings highlights a challenge NASCAR faces on the international stage. The series' competitive parity, while exciting for fans, often works against its drivers in global evaluations. When multiple drivers deliver championship-caliber performances in the same season, it becomes harder for any single one of them to stand out as a truly dominant headline grabber.